I hope you guys are happy. I really hope that I'm making a good, entertaining video for you guys. Like, no joke, I really hope I'm not wasting my time doing some random video. I hope this is an actual video that everyone loves. This is probably the most torturistic writing I've ever had to go through with writing one of these scripts. That's just, this is just gonna be the biggest video. If you've read the title, this is one of the Danganronpa cast for Trigger Happy Havoc and Goodbye Despair swapped up video games. And this is going to be a two-part. First one's going to be the Goodbye Despair cast and Trigger Happy Havoc, with stuff like settings being the same. Like, they're still in the Trigger Happy Havoc settings, like the Goodbye Despair cast are in the school with said motives from the first killing game, and then the second kill, and then vice versa. It's one of those things where it's going to only be two parts. It's going to be part one, which is Goodbye Despair's cast, and part two is the Trigger Happy Havoc cast. So I really hope you guys enjoy this, and I did not waste my time for nothing. So, enjoy this video, please. Because this was probably the most torturistic video I made. This is what if Danganronpa 2 Goodbye Despair cast, the Danganronpa 2 Goodbye Despair cast was in Danganronpa Trigger Happy Havoc. I love you guys, and I think you know that me making this video is proof. So we start off with chapter 1 with our new protagonist, Hajime Hinata, not Makoto Naegi, Hajime Hinata. And for the most part, this is kind of where most of the story would kind of start the same, with Hajime meeting Class 78 instead of Class 77. Oh crap, I meant the opposite, sorry. But, yeah, we kind of get all the interactions and we get Monokuma's introducement to the group. Instead of Mondo, it would be Akane who would be the one to go for the first attack. This would more than likely end up with Akane not dying and Chiaki or Nagito telling her to throw it. So, yeah, that whole thing goes the same. And now with the motive, this is kind of where we would go. Who kills? For the most part, the only characters I could see being attached to their family would include Sonia, Teru, and Akane. I, for the most part, assumed that we would probably have the same setting like we did in Goodbye Despair. That's just my opinion. But however, it's not really a guarantee to say Teru's coming out to kill Tugami, which there's multiple settings to come out of this. Without the floorboards, Teru would have to think of a different way to attack, meaning we have three outcomes to come out of this. We either have the original timeline where Teru kills Tugami. We have Teru kills Komaeda. I tend to switch between Nagito and Komaeda, so I'm sorry about that. It's like the only character I do it, but back to the video, where we go to the third idea, which I know you all don't want to hear, but Nagito is a Chapter 1 Blackened. It's obvious I'm not going to go with that one, and if you do want to see an idea where he is the Chapter 1 Blackened, I have 2 videos on it, so I will link them down in the description. The Teru idea could make sense, but I will more than likely do a future video on the idea. So I'm just gonna stick with Komaeda surviving and Tugami basically dying with Teru. Kind of the original chapter 1. So yeah, we kind of start off with kind of chapter 1, the same thing. Kind of like the original timeline, so really no big changes here. It's not really too many, and just that's kind of all. So, yeah, chapter 1, no changes. Now, with this motive, it is really interesting, because Monokuma has everyone's secret piled up together, and if no one kills within the span of a 24-hour, this said secret will be revealed. Some of these secrets are more joke-like secrets, with the other ones being more kind of serious. As for who would kill here, I really took a while to think of this one, and I think the best choice would be Mahiru and Fuyuhiko. As for everyone else, would more than likely either have a comedic motive or a motive that wouldn't probably cause them to kill. It would kind of be hard to do that. But for the most part, it might be Fuyuhiko kill Mahiru. And I think I'll probably say that happens instead of Peko being involved. Mainly due to the fact that I kind of want to be more original and don't want to copy. And I was thinking about doing a Fuyuhiko dying instead of Peko video, but I really couldn't find that interesting, so yeah, chapter 2 kind of is a really interesting one. I'd assume Fuyuhiko would kill Mahiru, or Mahiru would just kill Fuyuhiko. It's one of those two. I feel like it's more likely Fuyuhiko kills Mahiru, but however there's a possibility Mahiru to kill. It's one of those things where it just depends on who you view as the perfect killer between the two. But yeah, that's kind of all chapter 2 really offers. Not too many changes. But we more than likely to have Fuyuhiko kind of being like a Byakuya Togami character. Except he would actually die when he's considered to be the murderer. So yeah. Chapter 3's motive is also a unique thing to go with the Goodbye to Spirit cast, and that is a money motive. If you kill someone, you get a lot of money. So, with having all these characters here, who would more than likely strike for money? I'm happy to say this, Akane. Her growing up in a poor family kind of leaves it to make sense that she would only want to get the money, and kind of wanting to bring back for her family. She would want to give them said money. So, yeah, Akane, she would more than likely strike here and want to get the money for her family. Now, our victims. You heard I said victims. If you wonder why, Chapter 3 has a unique trope, unique in in quotations, by the way, of two people dying. This is clearly one of the most hated tropes in Danganronpa. Honestly, I just don't like none of the tropes because they always get rinse and repeat. That's not the point. The point is that Akane needs to kill two people for this to work. So I'm just going to have it be Akane kills someone, someone walks in, and Akane just kills them. Make it simple. As for who dies, Akane would more than likely go for two people who are physically weaker than her. The two characters who I feel would fit this the most would be Sonia and Mikon, as they would probably make the most sense for it. More than likely around this time, Peko would get her character development. Hiyoko would also get development around this point. So I don't think they would be easy to strike. So I feel like Akane would pick Mikon and Sonia. Two people who she could easily take out in a fight. So with that being said, Akane would invite one of them to meet up with her. The other one accidentally walks in as Akane kills him, and they kills that one with them. The rest of the trial most likely would just be one of those trials where Akane is pretty much obvious as the culprit. Kind of like how it was with Chapter 4 when when you thought Yasuhiro was the killer. It's kind of one of those things where Yasuhiro is just too obvious that he attacked Sakura. Akane would be obvious as the culprit, so yeah, really more obvious Chapter 2 to come out of this. A more obvious Chapter 3 to come out of this. That's really the only thing that would come out of it. Just a more obvious Chapter 3. That's kind of the big changes. Also, it gives Kazuichi and Gundam some character development. So yeah, that's pretty cool. We now go to Chapter 4, The Traitor. And now I'm assuming a lot of you people are assuming it's Chiaki, but I did not pick Chiaki. I picked Nekomaru. As for those who wonder why I picked Nekomaru, I think it works more because Nekomaru and Sakura were very similar. So I feel it's more likely that Sakura would probably just have a similar spotting to Nekomaru, and Nekomaru is just the traitor. He ends up basically being the traitor for this one, and is basically kind of the one who's taking the whole spot of Sakura. But there's a thing. Nagito could probably have something to do with this trial. As for how this would go, I would assume Nagito may end up actually killing Nekomaru, mainly due to him being the traitor. Maybe it could be one of those things where no one knew he was the traitor, and Nagito, by some amount of luck, he's the one to find Nekomaru, kind of like how Makoto found Sakura, mainly due to his luck. I feel like Nekomaru would be similar, finding Sakura out because of luck. So Nagito now knows who the traitor is, and is not going to tell everyone else, but is more than likely going to plan the murder of Nekomaru. As for how Komaeda kills Nekomaru, it's obvious: brains and luck. That's all he needs. Nagito is a lot more intelligent than someone like Nekomaru, and his luck is downright crazy. I feel like he would plan a decent way to not only kill Nekomaru, but he'd probably make the trial a little bit easy. He would obviously get caught, because Nagito would. He may even end up confessing to it. I feel like he might just make an impossible trial and just confess to it to see if they had the hope to live. Or Hajime could probably compete with him and save the day. Kind of one of those things. So, Chapter 4 ends. Nekomaru Nidai is murdered by Nagito Komaeda. Kind of what I honestly wished had happened in the original. Nagito should have killed. Now we are here for the Mastermind trial, boys. Now, if you're wondering why I'm doing Chapter 5, it's because I really don't have any room to put an extra trial in there, unless I can just shoehorn another motive in there. I'm not going to do that, and instead just going to have the Mastermind trial be Chapter 5. Nagito's a main character, and he doesn't deserve to die in Chapter 5, so yeah, kill him off before the big Mastermind trial. So with that being said, now we need the next Mastermind. Who is the Mastermind? You have 7 cast of characters. Who would it be? Between Ibuki Miyoda, Gundam Tanaka, Kazuichi Soda, Hajime Hinata, Hiyoko Saionji, Peko Pekayama, and Chiaki Nanami. This may be obvious, but at the same time it may be unpredictable, but Hajime would more than likely be the mastermind. Before you assume one of those things where I have some kind of vendetta, like giving him the despair disease in my Nagito Blacken videos, I have no vendetta. In fact, Hajime is actually near my favorite as the protagonist, behind Makoto. It's just Izuru Kamakura would make sense. The whole thing with Izuru would make sense for him to be the mastermind. So, like, for the first half of the trial, you could kind of have something like a big weird mystery, kind of like the Host Peak origins. And then when they're trying to figure out the mastermind, you can have it slowly Hajime realizing that he could be the mastermind. He's trying to deny while Monokuma is just admitting it. Chiaki has to admit it. And for the rest of it, you have to play as Chiaki over Izuru, and she would probably be the one taking Makoto's spot as the one to give everybody hope. Now, the question is, would Hajime survive the killing game? I'm honestly really mixed on it. On one hand, he could, killing Izuru with Chiaki, and on the other hand, he might just kill himself, like how Junko did. So, it's hard to say what would come out of this, but the guaranteed characters to come out of this alive would be Chiaki, Kazuichi, Ibuki, Hiyoko, Gundam, and Peko. Those are 6 characters who are guaranteed to survive. Hajime could be added in there if you feel like he should. And really, that's all. That's all of this video. So, thanks for watching. Part 2 will be out next week. So, see y'all later. Peace out.